What's going on, everybody? John Eric Poli here with My MMA News, and today's guest likes to walk on treadmills backwards, was just on a Disney cruise, and has a fight coming up at the PFL Challenger Series on February 24th. Pleased today to be joined by Kaytlin Neil. Kaytlin, nice to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you.
So let's start here. Before we get into the fight or any of that stuff, I want to ask about the first thing I brought up here, this walking on the treadmill backwards thing. I see it all over your Instagram. Never saw anybody walking a treadmill backwards until I saw you posting all the stuff about it. What's all this about? Help me out here.
Yeah, so I always wanted like a thing on Instagram where people like recognize me from. I didn't think it was going to be from walking backwards on a treadmill, but I mean, that's my thing, so I'll take it. But I started doing it because I had back-to-back knee surgeries. I was out of MMA for like 3 years and I was like super frustrated, really depressed. And then someone tagged me in this TikTok where this guy was doing crazy things, was squatting with his knees over his toes, walking backwards, doing ATG split squats, just movements I've never seen before. And his name is the knees over toes guy. His actual name is Ben Patrick. But then, so I got connected with Ben Patrick and I started doing his program. I did it for a full year. He's become like a really good mentor for me and he really helped me through like a really hard time. And so I just walk backwards to keep my knees healthy. And it's just a really simple, effective thing that anyone can do to help their knees stay healthy or become healthy. It helps with knee pain. It helps develop your quad muscles. It helps increase blood flow to your ligaments, tendons around your knees, and it helps with balance. There's so many benefits from such a simple little thing.
Yeah, I never even thought of that. Is there like, I'm guessing obviously there's some sort of science behind it. Like, what is it about walking backwards that's able to help like your knees? I would have never guessed that walking backwards is beneficial to your knees.
Yeah, so when you're walking backwards, your knee is going over your toe, and typically you're like growing up, I guess the science was never put your knee over your toe. It puts too much pressure on your knee. But now the science has like in a very positive way evolved to saying, no, you should strengthen your knee over your toe so your knee can handle that pressure because your knee is going over your toe all the time in sports, whether you're kicking, wrestling, or whatever. And so if your body isn't prepared for that kind of movement, it will like tear your knee or your ligaments in there. But yeah, walking backwards is like level one of the way you can strengthen your knee over your toe, but it actually really does help with knee pain. So if you like go and tweak your knee at practice, or if you're lifting or just like walking and you like step funny, you start walking backwards and immediately you'll feel the benefits from it.
All right. Well, that's good to know. It's a very helpful information for a lot of people out there. Let's move on here now to this Disney cruise before we get into all the good fight stuff here. I was following along on your Instagram there. I looked like you guys were having a really good time. How was the vacation? And tell everybody what exactly a Disney cruise kind of entails. Like all the characters all around and everything like that.
Yeah, the Disney cruise was super cute. Everything was Disney themed. My niece and nephews loved it. If you're an adult who's really into really big into Disney, you're gonna love it. But if you're an adult that's like kind of into Disney and you don't really have friends, I don't recommend. Or if you don't have like kids, I don't recommend the Disney cruise for you. There's probably better cruises out there. But as far as kids goes, my niece and nephews loved it. It was so much fun for them, and it was such a good family vacation.
So one thing, right, that's interesting here, you found out kind of like right before you're going on the cruise that this fight was going to take place, but you had the vacation planned, so you chose to go on the vacation ultimately.
Yeah, I told my manager, I was like, I'm going on a cruise, so don't plan a fight around this. I'm like, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna eat as much as I want, and I'm not gonna really be training. So as long as we know that, we should be good to go. And then of course PFL popped up, and I'm like, okay, if I get off the cruise, I'll have like 5 weeks to prepare. I'll be ready. Let's go.
Yeah, I was gonna say, right, only a little bit to prepare there. You said 5 weeks. Just talk about that, like what that's kind of like having decently short notice, you could say. I'm sure you're probably used to it for where you're at in your career at the moment, but I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of things that are difficult to get prepared in only a short period of time like that.
You know what? I always train pretty hard and I'm always like semi prepared and I prefer short notice fights. Like if I get a fight on a 2 weeks notice, I'm like, yep, that's what I want. I will show up and I will fight and it will go. It's much less of a mental battle being that far out from a fight. Just as long as I know I'm like physically ready. But I normally stay in shape year round. Obviously, like a fight camp, you ramp up the intensity a little bit, but I mean, for me, short notice fights are almost ideal just so I don't have to like sit there and like stew about it for months on end.
Yeah, the overthinking process too. I know that's a big thing, right, with the whole mental side of the sport and everything. I do want to ask a little bit more about training though here, because as soon as you get off the cruise, you pretty much within days are flying out to or driving out to Vegas there to train at Syndicate MMA. What's that whole process been like now that you've been there? I know it's you were telling me before we came on air, it's a lot more intense than maybe how it usually is for you. So what's this process of training camp just been like preparing out there?
Yep. So I hopped off the cruise ship. I think I spent 2 days in Utah and then I drove immediately to Vegas to get prepared. But the training in Vegas is just a lot different because there's women on the mat in Utah. I'm lucky if there's like one or two other girls, and these women are high level. So they're like really good. They're in the UFC, they're in the PFL, they're in Bellator, Invicta. Like they're not just like random girls doing it for fitness. They're like serious about it. So when you show up to training, you have to have your game face on, you have to be ready to go, and you know you're going to get work in. So the training in Vegas is so awesome, just being able to be on the mat with such high level athletes and being able to gauge where you are actually at in the MMA world.
All right, so you made a great point there about talking about training with other women. I do want to bring this up now, just in case there is somebody out there that's watching this and they might not be too familiar with it, but I've, from years now of covering the sport, when I first heard this, I was actually a little shocked. I know a lot of times that women would train with other men a lot of times, and I could see what the benefits would be there. You're in there with the guy, maybe there's a different speed advantage or strength or whatever. But I never realized until I forget which fighter told me, but there's a lot more strengths, I guess, for women to train with other high level women because of it's more, I guess you'd say, almost like a live action type feel how it's going to be on fight night. Just explain it a little bit and what's kind of like for you and why you see those benefits like a lot of other high level females have seen from training with other women as opposed to always being training with other men.
Yeah, so I mean, just in my personal experience, I can't speak for other women. I don't really know whether or not a guy is like actually holding back because he's going with a girl, because you don't want to be the guy that just like destroys a girl. It's like, that's not cool, but then you don't want to like hold back so they're not getting a good look. So I never really knew how I stood until I started training at Syndicate with other girls on my level, and just being able to see like where your striking is at, where your grappling's at, because the girls aren't going to be holding back. It's like they're also trying to like test themselves or prove themselves or get better. So you guys are going definitely more live. It's more challenging, and that they're not holding back at all because why would they?
All right, let's get into a few fight specifics here. I know we mentioned about you being at Syndicate, so we'll just start right there. Training camp, few weeks left of it. How's the camp been going so far?
Yeah, I mean, camp's been going awesome. I'm really happy with it. There's been a couple of bumps along the way, but that's normal. I'm used to that. I think it just my opponent pulled out on last week, so hopefully we can find another girl that replaces her pretty quick. I know it's short notice fight, but we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, and that leads perfectly to my next question there. I was going to ask about that. Obviously, you're still remaining on the card there. We were talking about how just difficult it is sometimes to take a short notice fight, which you do actually prefer. But is there any challenges now to like, okay, I have no idea who the heck I'm going to face and coming up with the game plan on short notice or any of that? Any challenges? Or I know you said before you kind of like that sometimes.
Well, the only challenge for me is like wondering if the fight's actually going to go through or not, because I hate dieting, and it's really like 125. I have to be on my game, and so I'm like, if I don't have an opponent and this doesn't go through on February 24th, I'm like, is all this dieting going to waste? So like, that's the part that I struggle with the most. Like I can go train hard, and I can prepare for anybody, but it's just like the eating. It's like should I be dieting this hard right now? But of course I am. I'm still staying on top of my diet, just in case somebody does pop up last minute. But I'm just hoping that someone realizes that PFL is like a huge stage and sees this as an opportunity to come in and get, their face like in front of the PFL. So I'm hoping that someone will slide in.
Yeah, and I mean, you would think that they would to all the incentives, because if you get picked for a contract, that obviously every single fighter that's on the roster is then has the opportunity to go on to compete for $1 million payday at the end of the year. Just being on this platform too, there's celebrity judges for the Challenger Series here. You would think people would want to hop on that opportunity, but either way, whether they do, whether they don't, has the PFL at least given you any sort of clarity as to what the plan is here? Either way, obviously, if there's an opponent, I'm assuming the plan, obviously, all right, you go ahead and you fight. But let's say they don't have one. Are they going to help you at all? They want to put you on the roster? Or are you just in limbo here where I don't know what's going to happen if there's no opponent?
I mean, I think PFL wants me, so I'm pretty confident in saying that. How that looks if they don't find someone for February 24th, I don't know. So that's all I can answer with that.
Okay. Yeah, I know there's a lot going on with that there. Well, here, I'll ask this question too then. I know you said, you're pretty confident that the PFL is definitely interested in having you on the roster. If they do indeed choose to give you a contract, even if you don't get to fight on the Challenger Series, what would that mean to you to be in a promotion like the PFL? It's one of the biggest ones out there. We went over the incentives before of what's all on the table if you're on the PFL roster. Just what would that mean to you?
Yeah, no, it would mean a lot to me. I think the PFL, from any athlete I've ever spoke to that has fought for them, they're really happy with the PFL. PFL treats their fighters really well, typically a lot better than other promotions. They pay their fighters, they treat them well, and I'm like, I like that. I mean, if you want me there, I want to be there. And it's not so much like you're disposable to them. It's more like, yeah, let's build you. We want you here. You're our athlete. We couldn't do this without you. And so it's kind of cool to be able to work with a promotion that treats athletes like that. And then also, I mean, just as far as my career goes, it would be so awesome to be able to fight for $1 million and be in that tournament just for the recognition. And then for the money, I've been doing this for 11 years. So it's nice to be able to like get paid to fight now. And I just think it would mean a lot to not only me, but to like my coaches and my training partners and all the time that they have also put into me. So it's a huge opportunity and I'm really excited for it.
And this time of the year being early in 2023, I've been asking a lot of fighters, what are your goals for this year? I mean, kind of puts you in a weird spot because you don't know if you're fighting on the 24th or not. Now, I'm sure obviously the short-term answer would be, yes, I want to fight and get a win and get the PFL contract. Now, obviously, with everything being in limbo, do you have, a set goal for this year, whether it's making it into one of those big promotions or staying active? I guess, when you're looking at this year as a whole, what are some of the things you want to get accomplished?
Yeah, I mean, I want to fight for the PFL as many times as I can this year. And then I think there like the possibility of doing the tournament next year. So whatever that looks like, I'm just ready to go, whatever it is. If I fight twice, 2-0 in the PFL this year, stay active, be really involved with the promotion, and then, just like do what I can.
And if you don't end up with an opponent on the 24th, are you still going to show up to the show just to kind of be around it and kind of get familiar with it, or just going to stay in Vegas and keep training?
I haven't really thought about that. If they would still fly me out, I would love to be there. However that looks, if I do interviews or like do some social media stuff, I don't know. I would still love to be there. So hopefully they'll still have me. But if not, I'll be streaming it live, scoping out my competition.
Gotcha. Well, good luck with all of that. Hopefully there's going to be an opponent here for you sometime soon here. Fingers crossed. So, but thanks again for being here. I'm hoping all this ends up working out for you. You're dieting and training so hard. Hopefully there's an opponent out there. We'll put this interview out there. Somebody sees it. You want to jump in, contact who you got to contact. We're here for you. So, all right, Kaytlin, appreciate the time. Last thing before you head out, social media, management, sponsorships, any coaches or any of that type of stuff that you have to plug. Floor is yours. Take it away.
Yeah, so you guys can follow me on Kaytlin Katniss MMA on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. I think TikTok shows my personality a little bit more. It's a little bit more fun of a follow. And then I mean, thank you to Syndicate MMA for having me. All the girls there, they're awesome. And then also my gym up in Utah, Agima Jiu Jitsu. They're an awesome gym too. So I love them. They're both my families. And as far as sponsorships goes, thank you to Century Martial Arts, Frey Skincare, and Bad Athletics.